Hi everybody, Debbie from Handmade by Droxy here again. Today we're going to work on this blanket. Well, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make something like this easier. Now this is just a regular granny square blanket. So this is really one of the easiest ones to do, and the granny square is one of the first things that you usually learn how to make when you start crocheting, or it should be, because it's a very simple pattern and you can make beautiful things with it. So what I do is I just have a bag like this, and when I'm finished a project and I have leftover yarn, I throw the ball in here, and then every once in a while I take it out and I start crocheting up these squares. So I get all different kinds of squares, colors, and mix and match, whatever. So this makes a nice bright, and I make these for my grandchildren. They just love it. It's a great way to use up your scraps, and these handmade blankets are super warm and cozy. Or you can throw it on the back of a couch, whatever. So let me show you how to start this. Now I have a bunch of squares here that I've already made, but if I can find my ball of yarn here, I will show you how this starts. Now this is just a knitting worsted weight, what I usually use for hats, scarves, sweaters, that kind of thing. It's a very common and expensive yarn. So I've got my 4.5 millimeter hook. It's about the right size, 4.5, 5, somewhere around there is comfortable. So to make the square, we start with 6 chains. So you just wrap it around and go through the stitch. We started with a slip stitch there. 4, 5, 6. Now go to the first stitch and put your hook through, wrap it around and pull it back through both. So you've done a slip stitch join to make a ring. Now we're going to do 3 chains and a double crochet into the circle, through 2 loops and through 2, wrap it around and go into the circle, wrap it around, pull it up, through 2 loops, through 2 loops. So that's your double crochet. Now you can also see what I'm doing here. One thing that's really annoying is when you get to the end of a big project like this and you've got all these ends that you've got to sew in. I hate that part. So I'm going to show you how to eliminate that. So this is one way, and when you're beginning, hold your starting thread end behind your work so that when you're crocheting you're picking that up as well. I'll show you what I mean here. So for the square I need 3 chains. And this is going to make a corner. And then we do 3 more double crochets. So you can see as I'm going into the circle, I've also got this thread that I'm bringing up around. So when I pull it through, it's catching that in the work. And when I'm finished, you'll see how easy it is. Okay, so I'm just going to go around here and do this real quick. So your 3 chain spaces are going to be corners. So we're going to make 4 groups, of double crochet, 3 in each group. Corner between, and that's how you get your square. And I'll see how long this one goes if I can do it today. I'm also going to show you how to do it if there is 5 sides, like a flower or hexagon, something like that. Those are easy to do too. Or if you have a solid border, how do you do that? What I'm showing you today is how to join these together on this blanket. Okay? To sew these together would be a real pain because they're joined in the spaces. So I'm going to show you, and I guess when you've been crocheting for a long time you forget that not everybody knows these little tricks. So that's why I thought I'd show you. Okay, so my last corner. Okay, now The chain 3 at the beginning counts as the first double crochet, pretty much always in a pattern, but the pattern will tell you if it does or it doesn't. So after that one I just did 2 crochet to make that the 3 double crochet group. So I'm going to slip stitch in the top of that first one, and that ends that round. So now you can see we've got a square. So for the next round, you can turn it, but I prefer to do it this way so that you have all a nice front side. So I'm just going to slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so it's nice and flat, and then again in the corner. Now I'm going to start the next round. So I do my first double crochet, which is 3 chain, and 2 double crochet. So you've got your first 3 double crochet group there. Now I need a corner. So 3 double crochet, and then I'm going to do another group of 3 in the same corner. Now, in between, this is going to be the clusters in between. I only need 2 chains, and then I'm at the next corner. So I'm going to do 2 groups of 3 double crochet, just like I did on the first one, with the chain 3 corner between. So there's our 2 groups. So you can make these squares as big or as small as you want. You can also, just buy yarn and make them all one color or 2 colors, whatever you want to do. So you want to have your main color for the squares, like this, or you can mix them, whichever way you want to do it. And then you also want another color for your border, for your joining. I usually use white or black for that, but that's up to you. It's all personal choice. Okay, so I'll just finish this row real quick. And this is all there is to the granny square. Okay, doing the corners, 2 chains in between the corners, and then your corners. So for the next round, all I'm going to do is exactly the same thing that I did for this round. And it's just going to get bigger with each round. Now for this particular blanket that I showed you, I used 4 rounds. And that's usually about the size I make it. So when you get to the end, again you just go into, sorry about that knocking, that's my neighbor doing something in their apartment, I guess. Okay, so you just go into the top of the first double crochet with your slip stitch and finish that round. Okay, so next round you want to join, do your slip stitch in the first 2 stitches, and then into the corner, chain 3 for the first double crochet, do your 2 double crochet for the first group, and I'm on a corner here, so I'm going to do chain 3, and then another group of 3 double crochet, and then the chain 2 because I'm between corners, and in the next space do my group of 3. Okay, and I'm just going to continue around doing that until I have it the size that I want it. Okay, so on each round you'll have more spaces in between your corners, as you can see here. So you just do your chain 2 and then the group of 3 double crochet. Okay, so now, I guess I have to finish one so that I can show you how to join it. So let me come back in a minute when I have that ready, and then I'll show you how to join it. Okay, so now I've completed one square with the border, and now take the second square. So on the first square of the blanket, you complete the round of the border. Then you take the next square, and I usually start somewhere in the middle. Just put your hook in, and we're going to do, just get my yarn here. We're going to join another color, which is my border color. Okay, so you just put the yarn around the hook, pull it through, and then wrap around both threads, pull it through. Okay, so you've got your starting slip stitch. Now, I grab this thread, the tail end, and I weave that in as I go. So I'm going to do 1, 2 chains, and that's going to be my starting double crochet. So just like on the square, you do groups of 3 double crochet. So at the beginning I want 2, and you'll see I've got this thread and I'm catching it in the stitch as I go, so it'll get woven through. So I go through the first 2, and then I bring this thread and put it over that thread, finish that. Okay, so now I've got that in a couple of times, so I'm going to do that again. Weave it just to weave it through. 1 chain, bring it back over again, 2 chains, and then I'll show you what to do with that at the end. Now I can just continue on and forget about that thread. So I'm going to do 3 double crochet. Now if you find the thread is getting in your way as you're crocheting, you can just stop, turn it over, grab that thread and clip it off. Okay, now it's woven in, so you don't have to sew it in. Same with the one at the beginning that I showed you on the other square. Just flip it over and you'll be able to see it poking out, so just pull it up and clip it off, and it'll already be woven in enough times that it won't come unraveled. Okay, so let's continue on here and do my 2 space and then a group of 3 double crochet. Now when you get to the corner, before I show you that, you'll see here I've still got this thread. A lot of people go and they'll pick up the whole pile of squares and start sewing in all the ends and everything. Please don't do that, because you're not going to have to sew in these ends. We're going to weave them all in. You'll end up with one here and there and on your border. That'll give you enough. So on the corner, what we're going to do is chain 1. Then pick up your other square. Now, this is my right side facing me as I work. So I want the right side of this square. To tell which is the right side, you look at your edging. Now you can't see it that well in the black, I know, but I can show you on this color as well. You can see the difference. See, this is a back, so it's very flat, and this is a right side, so you can actually see the V stitches on the top. When you can see that, that's your right side. Okay, now these squares, rather than continuing the round like I showed you how to do, these ones are where I turn them, so you end up with every other row shows the wrong side. That's one of the reasons that I normally just keep going around the square. So up on the top here I can see my V stitches, okay, on the front. So that's the front of my work. Now I want the back of this one. So flip this over, and again, see here I've got the threads. So those are going to get in my way maybe, so I'm going to clip them off. And these I've woven through as I was crocheting. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one because that'll weave in. So we've got the one we're working on, right side facing, and another square, wrong side facing. So I'm going to go into the corner space, wrap it around, bring it through, slip stitch. Now I want another chain. Go to the piece that you were working on, the front piece, and do your other 3 double crochets. Sorry, my yarn's good. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing all the way around on that row. So, or cross, I should say. 1 chain, slip stitch, get your back piece. Make sure it's not twisted. See, I had it twisted there, so you want the wrong side facing. You can hold it up, just make sure it's flat there. Okay, so I'm going into the second space beside the corner. Slip stitch, chain 1. Go back to the first one, and do another group of 3 double crochet. Chain 1, get the second square, back facing, go into the next space. See, I went here, now I'm going into the next space. Slip stitch, chain 1, back to the front one. Now this, you might find a little difficult when you first start doing it, but once you do a couple of them, it's really easy and it takes a lot less time. Okay, so now we're going to do the 3 double crochet. Now on the last one, I'm going to start weaving in my thread. So I do the first 2 loops and then put this thread over, finish my double crochet. Bring the thread back over, do my chain. Then, let's get that out of my way, into the next hole on the second square, do a slip stitch, chain 1, come back here, and do my double crochet. So on the first one, grab this thread again, bring it over, do my stitch, and I can just hold it behind while I do the rest of the double crochet. And now that's woven in enough. You just need to weave it in, you know, 1 inch or 2, so that if you cut it right off at the knot, then your blanket's going to unravel. So you just want to hide that edge a little bit. See how nice and neat that is with no ends hanging out, just on my border. Okay, so let's finish this one. Chain 1, slip stitch in the next space, chain 1, and now we're to the next corner. So we do this corner the same way. Group of 3 double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch in the corner, chain 1, back to finish the corner. Okay, now you'll see when I finish this one what that does. Okay, now you see it's giving you a nice join on the one side. So then you just continue on and finish the rest of the square. Now that you do right across, and you just make as wide as you want. Okay, so you do your first row, and then you start on your second row. Now when you get to these corners here, it gets a little tricky. So I'm going to go and come back when I've done a couple of squares and show you how to join it once you get to that corner to make it into a square. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now we're back and I'm going to join the square into the corner here. Okay, so I started the square and went to the corner. Finish that double crochet there. Do the chain 1. Now I've got the back of the blanket facing. So this is the wrong side, the right side of the square I'm working on, wrong side of the blanket. Now, if you're right-handed, I'm left-handed, but I hold the hook in my right hand. So I'm not sure if I also do this part opposite. So you'll know when you're doing it. If you're right-handed, you'll start at this corner. Left-handed, or you may start at this corner. I don't know. I'm going to start here. Okay, so I go into the corner and do my slip stitch. Chain 1. Do my double crochet. 3 group. Chain 1. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Next space, sorry. So we're just doing exactly the same as we did for the border on the other squares, because we're putting the border on this square as we're attaching it, and this will save a lot of time trying to sew these together. And I think it makes it nice too when you have the solid color in between each square, especially for something like this where it's just kind of a patchwork, I guess you'd call it, blanket. These are actually the most popular, the ones that are, oddly enough, just done with scraps of yarn in multiple colors. Okay, so we're going to just go as far as the next corner. And I know you can't see very well what I'm doing as I'm doing this, but I showed you how to do this before. So this part is just to show you how to do it in a corner. Okay, so when you get to the corner, you'll see you've got 2 holes. So I'm going to do a slip stitch in that hole, and then a slip stitch in the other hole. Chain 1. And then just continue on with your corner. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm in several groups on Facebook for handmade, crafting, things like that. And I hear a lot of people say how difficult crocheting is. Really, you know, this is one of the easiest of all the crafts that I do. It is a little tricky figuring out how to hold your hook and your thread and everything so that it's comfortable, you have an even tension. Especially me being left-handed, and I was taught by right-handed people. So it was very difficult for me to figure out my own way, and my grandmother used to laugh at me. She taught me how to crochet, doing lace edging. So I've been doing lace edging since I was 6 years old. And I'm actually going to show you that at the end of this video, what I have coming up. I'm going to show you how to do some nice lace edging. And we used to sew these onto pillowcases, towels. They were just beautiful. So I used to help my grandmother make those. What did I do here? Okay, hang on, I messed up somewhere. Okay, see, I skipped one. So if you get to the corner, that's what I get for gabbing while I'm crocheting. Actually, I do this while I'm watching TV. And I've been doing it so long that I do it pretty much by touch now. So for those of you that are just starting out, trying to learn to crochet, and having a difficult time, just hang in there. It gets so much easier once you've done it a few times. If you need help, you have a question, please message me, comment on the video, whatever, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. I also have a group on Facebook called Handmade by Droxy, D-R-O-X-Y. If you want to look me up and join the group. You can talk about anything handmade, and that's a great place to ask questions. If you have questions about any of the crafts that I do, I'm happy to answer them, and I learn things from other crafters as well, you know, for crafts that I do, but I haven't been doing it long, but crocheting is my thing. Okay, so when you get to the corner, you're going to have 2 holes. So you're going to do slip stitch in the first hole, slip stitch in the second hole, chain 1, and then back to your first square. And then you just finish the square the same way you did the rest. Okay, so now you can see, we'll finish that one later. Now you can see, gives you a nice flat corner. Okay, and it's not a big hole, just 4 holes for the corners. So you just continue on and finish this row, and then start your next row. You just come back to the end and attach your next one there. And you can make it as big or as small as you want. This is just the beginning of one. So I actually just kind of go around it. You can go back and forth, whatever you like, because I decide later who I'm making it for and how big I'm going to make it. Okay, so I don't have time to get into this today, but I'm going to do another tutorial, and this is a beautiful pattern that I found online. It's a free pattern. It's an African flower pattern, and I'll see if I can find the link. I got it quite a while ago to post in the comments. And you just make a bunch of these flowers and join them together. But this is what I mentioned earlier, when you have more than the 4 sides, it's a little trickier to do. So I'll show you how to make these right from the start and how to join them together. I made a lovely blanket with these colors for my brand new niece a couple of months ago, and these were my leftover flowers. So I just threw them in a bag, and I can use these to make hair clips or make another blanket, whatever. I might do a multicolored one like that. Okay, so stay tuned, and as I mentioned, I'm also going to do some lace edging. I have this nice old book, probably from about the early 60s, something like that. The things that my grandmother taught me how to make many years ago. This is a filet crochet edging. I want to show you the filet crochet, so edging is a great way to do that. And I'll get into, I'll find another couple of nice lace edgings that I can show you how to do. And these days, not too many people attach them to things, towels and pillowcases, but I think they're great for a shower gift. Something like that. There it shows you, I don't know if you can see that where my camera is aimed, but it's lace edging on pillows and sheets. It looks really nice. Okay, so stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel so that you'll get updates. Come see me on Facebook, Handmade by Droxy, and I'll be back soon with another tutorial. Bye for now.